Do you live in a world filled with corporate data? Are you plagued by siloed departments? Are your lackluster growth strategies demolishing your chances for success? Are you held captive by the evil menace, Lord Lack? Lack of time, lack of strategy, and lack of the most important and powerful tool in your superhero tool belt, knowledge. Never fear, HubHeroes. Get ready to don your cape and mask, move into action, and become the Hub Hero your organization needs. Tune in each week to join the League of Extraordinary Inbound Heroes as we help you educate, empower, and execute. HubHeroes, it's time to unite and activate your powers.
Oh yeah, activate those powers, baby.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're back for part 2 of the Service Hub knowledge-based conversation.
Yeah.
I'm excited, but I've got to be honest, gentlemen. George, just go ahead and derail us. What's going on, man?
No, not
no,
yet.
No,
not yet.
You can't say... No.
What?
What's going on, George?
All right, I got to derail us.
We're here.
We're going to talk about... We're going to talk about the knowledge base and some things and all that. But I'm excited, and I got to talk about something. I've got to share with the world something that's happening this Friday the 6th, 2025, Eastern Standard Time.
I'm not available.
I don't know if anybody has heard yet, and so I'm letting you know that there is a HubSpot Help call-in show. It's going to start happening every Friday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. 1, Mr. Kyle Jepson will be on the show. Hang on.
Door.
Number 2, Rob Jones will be on the show. Hold up. Number 3, Casey Hawkins will be on the show. Hey, wait. And yes, your boy, George B. Thomas, will be on the show. The 4 of us are going to start showing up on Fridays. You can call in. By the way, there's a voicemail. Like if you get like online shy, it's just kind of weird, like, but whatever. But if you get online shy, there's a phone number that we're going to be dropping later this week that you can call in and you can leave a voicemail to which we'll then put on the show that way. Or you can call in and we'll take your question. And I'm excited because my mind goes to like, here's the scenario, right? Somebody asks a question and Kyle goes, oh, you could ABC. And then Rob Jones goes, yeah. And because of ABC, you could 1, 2, 3. And then Casey Hawkins jumps in. Oh, yeah. And then you could XYZ. And I don't know what numbers or letters I'll use, but I'm sure I'll have something that I could put on top of that and be like, and so just the way to help these humans.
Oh, there we go.
Like we do here, but there. So we're literally hitting Monday mornings, Friday afternoons, helping humans with HubSpot. Okay, I'm done. That was the derail.
Now, quick question. Where can people watch this show? Was it LinkedIn you said, or where
Yeah. So go over to Profoundly's LinkedIn channel. There's more details. I don't have it in front of me. But yes, it's LinkedIn that you can go and like sign up for or attend or just hit the buttons and
whatever the live thing is.
Yeah, Profoundly, go find it. The show's going to be, I'm excited.
It's freaking amazing.
Can you tell that I'm excited?
Just a scotch.
Yeah.
Me and Chad are going to call in.
Yeah. Yes.
Under a pseudonym.
Yeah. I'll know it's you when you're like,
I'll just call in.
I need to reset my password. How do I do that?
Yeah. I can hear Max.
This is Lord Black.
Like, yeah.
No, I'll call it. I haven't organized my HubSpot Hub data in 10 years.
Ooh.
What do I do?
Ooh. Okay.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, let's get into the good stuff.
All right. So we are back for part 2 of our HubSpot Service Hub knowledge-based conversation. If you missed the last episode in the series, I highly recommend you go back and check it out. You do not need to listen to it in order to dive into today's discussion, but we got into a really fascinating sidebar conversation about what it means to build a healthy culture inside of service organizations that I think any company should listen to, regardless as to whether you have a service team or not. But with that said, we're going to be diving today into the tactics, the applications, the actual doing of the thing when it comes to knowledge base. But first, George, let's say for a moment we've got some listeners who are jumping into this conversation midway. What is the TLDR Cliff's Notes definition of the knowledge base? What is it? Where is it? Why is it?
Yeah. So Service Hub, it's where you can put information that customers will need along the way. It's a place where you as a HubSpot user can be proactive instead of reactive. But like that's a big piece that I want to throw out there. And so you can go into your HubSpot Hub. If you have Service Hub, you can then see knowledge articles, which, by the way, this is only a fraction of the conversation that you should even be having around Service Hub in general for your organization. But then, like, at the end of the day, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into what should be in there. But Service Hub, knowledge base, multiple things that you should be thinking about inside of there.
Love it. Max, Chad, any other Cliff's Notes you want to add to our listeners before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, only thing I'll reiterate, it's a heat shield, right? Like you want to make sure that your humans are focused on doing the really tough work that actually needs human intervention as much as you can. And the knowledge base is like the first sort of shield to put up to get those people to stop getting hit with unnecessary
fiery
things
plasma.
That, drag their time down, burn them. Yeah.
It feels like it would hurt.
It would hurt.
Ouch.
Yeah. Re-entry. That's something. I mean, for me, I think also I just want to reiterate the difference between like Service Hub versus support tools, which is like, Intercom, Zendesk, whatever. If you're on HubSpot, but you have those other tools, you still don't necessarily have as perfectly integrated or well-knit view of your customer support interactions along with all their other interactions with your business if you're on HubSpot, right? Even other tools like Zendesk or whatever that are out there, your tickets aren't going to be perfectly linked or properly associated or all of the data of your communications back and forth logged in HubSpot. And so I think Service Hub is really like, again, HubSpot's offering in the place. And as we mentioned last time, it really is trading blows with the big players out there, if not excelling in certain areas. And while they're not excelling in certain areas, or they are excelling in other areas still. But they got a ton of new features coming out all the time in Service Hub. It is really one of the most heavily advancing hubs, I think. They're pouring a lot of resources into it. I've been working with the help desk team the past number of actually a couple years now, and they're really cool. They really got a big heart for the tool over there,
which I'm glad to see, because there were years where we were like,
we have a conversations inbox that hooks to tickets.
Is Service Hub gonna become something? Well, it's something. It's something, and of course, part of that is knowledge base.
Love it. All right, well, let's dig in, guys. First question I have for you all: how should organizations decide what content belongs in their knowledge base versus what doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because a lot of people kind of like approach their blog without kind of understanding this fundamental point here. Oftentimes people are just writing about their own product in their blog and how to do stuff and how it works and everything, when what they should be writing about are goals and challenges that people actually have. And the content that they want to be writing, right, which is all that, is the exact stuff that belongs in the knowledge base and not necessarily the blog, unless it's like a very bottom of the funnel decision stage piece of content around your actual product, right? But it's again, this is really a place where it's like, you want to know how to do XYZ for your specific product, that content goes here type of situation, for me at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I sit and think about this, by the way, I try to zoom up to like the 50,000 foot view and think about like different knowledge bases that I've seen, good, bad, and ugly. And there are some organizations out there that I feel like they think this is like the digital junk drawer, where it's like just different documents and like copy and pasted email replies and like, ooh, I had this brainstorm. Let me throw that in the knowledge base too. And all of that starts to equal like confusion. And so even having this like layer of let me make sure that it's this strategic place. Let me make sure it's this like self-service powerhouse, kind of like Max was leaning into, like, so people aren't getting hit by plasma. Well, the words you want to think of is self-service powerhouse, because, by the way, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but like the different places it could be shown and used. And so when I think about what belongs there, we could boil it down to something very simple. It is the content that helps humans help themselves, right? It's any of those reoccurring questions that you get. It's any way that you can smooth out the friction or save humans time, or save your humans inside your organization time from answering that question for the 47th time. And so, like, it needs to teach. It needs to kind of lead. Think troubleshooting, think problem solving. This is not a place, and again, Max kind of leaned into it, like, you're not trying to get people bought in. You're not trying to get people to convert. Although what's fun is the amount of conversions that can happen from knowledge articles is quite insane if you're measuring that. And by the way, did you know that it's now in the campaigns tool? I'm saying that's not why we're here. Sorry, I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, also, it's like you're projecting how good your support is on your product, which is something people evaluate, right?
Right.
Like if they go, oh man, this thing looks big and crazy, but then they go, oh wow, every single thing I could possibly imagine that I needed to be taught to use this is openly available, easy for me to find, and really kind of lets people take a sneak peek of your product without having to get a demo or something like that. Like, it can be used as a marketing tool indirectly.
Oh, without a doubt. I would love to see the numbers, and then I'll shut up because I want to hear what Chad has to say, but also I have some questions that maybe the listeners could be asking themselves. I'll circle back around to that. But before I shut up, I would love to see the amount of data around HubSpot's knowledge articles that actually ended up to conversions that ended up in like positive ROI. Because I hope that the reason that knowledge base actually ended in the campaigns tool, is because someone or some small army of humans has collected a campaign of like knowledge articles, which is a lot, by the way, into like some type of internal HubSpot campaign where they can be like, oh, shoot. I feel like I should swear there for impact.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shoot. $7.9 million worth of like income or influenced income based. Okay, I'll shut up. Chad, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking about, just as well, going back to the question, right? Maybe one of the things that shouldn't go in the knowledge base is really just like, if it's proprietary information, right? If you have some stuff that should be behind a password for subscribers or users only that are almost like a level of trade secret, or if you have any kind of contractual or NDA type language with the sales of your products for larger organizations, might be pretty relevant, right? But outside of that, it's really anything that can be helpful, because just like I second exactly what everybody else was saying, is like, people will evaluate what's in there on the public facing side, just to really know how helpful is your tool or whatever service or offering you're selling. Like, even if you're only selling services, right? A knowledge base is still helpful. Like, what does X package look like when interacting with my brand, right? And really even being able to get that question answered, and to train your customer service agent on that information as well, right? Your HubSpot AI agent that can assist your support reps, right? Super helpful. So like, the more you put in there, the better it can answer questions without you having to manually CSV upload or,
Yes.
attach other documentation to it.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, so I want the listeners, viewers, humans. Oh shoot. To have some type of kind of filter to apply mentally before they, dare I say, write the article or look at an article that AI has written to fill the gap based on some functionality in HubSpot, or definitely before we hit publish. And so a couple questions, you can jot this down in your notepad that you can ask yourself before you hit publish. One is this content relevant to a customer's experience or a customer's goal? Yes or no? Okay, check. Yes. Does it prevent frustration or reduce support volume? By the way, the frustration of the external human or reduce support volume of our internal team. If yes, okay, check. We're good. Would a new user or a power user or even a prospect benefit from this content? Because by the way, I can only imagine the amount of humans that have stumbled into knowledge articles before they even stumbled into the HubSpot sales funnel. Okay. Does it reflect how we, whatever your organization is, talk as a brand? Not just how we write, but how we talk. Again, Liz could probably wax poetic on the importance of voice and tone. Like knowledge articles isn't something you just turd out, right? Like you take time and you make it something good. All right. So those are some filters, some questions that you should be asking about. Like, then yes. Okay, publish.
No, I love what you mentioned there, George. And we did touch upon this, I think, in the first part a little bit, but it is worth co-signing here once more. When we think about our quote unquote marketing content or our sales enablement content, we in theory, we should all be thinking about what is in some ways the user experience of the content, right? Voice, tone, visual structure, things like that. And I've noticed when I've looked at a lot of knowledge bases, a lot of those thoughts just go completely out the window. It is literally just like, here is the basest version of this answer, stripped of any sort of experience, any sort of humanity. And that's something that everybody needs to be mindful of. Like one of the reasons why I was so excited to see things like knowledge-based articles end up in campaigns is like, it has been a maxim of every business for decades that the place where you can get the most revenue is from where? The customers you already have. And yet we do not give a lot of thought to the experience they have, not just from a revenue producing standpoint, but also a delight standpoint. Like we want the humans we serve with what we do or sell better than anybody else to have a good experience with us. Yeah. And that includes the experience they have when you are answering their questions. That is part of your product. That is part of your service. That is how it is viewed.
It's interesting because my brain goes to two interesting places before you head into the next direction that we're heading, Liz. One, I've often sat back and wondered if They Ask You Answer is truly the amazing blog content creation process that it has been. And what happens when you apply They Ask You Answer to your knowledge articles? I just want you to, if you know what I'm talking about, I want you to think about that. But here's
the most literal interpretation of They Ask You Answer.
Yeah, it's I mean, anyway, but I don't think people make that connection of like, well, we've been using it for years for blogging. How about we use some of that stratagem stuff over there for the here's the other thing that I want to say too, and then I'll again be quiet and we'll move on. Please, by all that is holy, make it easy to find. Please make sure that when it's easy to find, it's relevant. And I am speaking to HubSpot and so many other organizations right now. Please, when it's easy to find and relevant, can you make it accurate? Let me talk about what I mean. There's nothing worse than changing your entire navigation of your SaaS software or adding new features to an old feature, and you go to a knowledge article to find out about it, and you immediately go, well, this is outdated. Please, by all that is holy, easy to find, relevant, and have a strategy to keep them updated as your things change. not everybody listening or watching this is a SaaS software company. So that's what I'm saying. Things change. But as your things change, make sure that there's a strategy to keep the knowledge articles accurate. Okay, I think you get my point.
No, I get it. I love it. And I actually want to stick with this thread a little bit because we started moving away from the what and the what not of what goes in your knowledge base. But let's talk about once you have that content, right? Once you have those banging knowledge base articles out there, where are some of the overlooked opportunities to integrate that content into other parts of the experience? Because I think sometimes what can happen, right, is you create this mecca, this giant mountain of beautiful knowledge base content, and then you just sit there like, well, we're waiting. Come find us. But that's not necessarily how it should work. There should be a distribution strategy around it, right?
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, you got to make it. You got to make it like an actual, tangible, usable tool for your sales reps, right? So like, you got to think about all the little funky little tricky ways that it integrates with everything that HubSpot already has, right? I remember one of the original reasons that I, like thought the knowledge base was so cool is that back, I think when it like had came out, I feel like it launched with the ability when you were writing an email to just be able to click a button and insert a knowledge base article. Like you could search your articles from this little like drop down, right? Mm-hmm. And even something like that, where it's just like, oh, I don't got to go, take time and like go find the article and and like go like look into it and like Google it, look into it, grab it, get the link, and then come back to it. Like I could literally just, as I'm on the phone with someone, be like, oh yeah, I'll email you this knowledge base article. Oh, well, let me see if we have a knowledge base article on that. Right now, we're way past that, right? Like we've got knowledge or these customer agents getting trained on the information. We've got all these tools to help you like write and create the content. But like, I think the big part is like train your team on how to use it as a weapon in combating customer issues, right? And find all these little places where you can like surface this stuff, whether it's, kind of like what I just said, your folks who are working with people having the ability to reference it and send that stuff to people right away through the HubSpot interface instead of having to actually go to the knowledge base and find it that way. But the other thing is like, not everyone is going to know you have a knowledge base. Like I feel like us in the marketing tech space are like, we intuitively know that I can type in company name knowledge base and there's probably a knowledge base we can go find. Not all customers are like that though. That's like a very marketing tech brained thing that we all have that not the rest of the world has, right? That we don't think is like so obvious. So it comes down to like, make it easy to find, right? When someone comes to your website and they start talking to your chatbot, right? Or whatever it is, the little thing that pops up, you can build your knowledge base into that now. And when I say build, I mean check a button and have it show up, right? Like you got to give people easy ways to find it, right? Whether that's putting it like front and center in your like top navigation or big CTA button somewhere on your website or as part of your onboarding journey to whatever product you have, you're pointing people to there, right? Like don't just assume people are going to find it on Google, right? Sure, there will be people that do that, but not everyone's going to do it. So like find different ways that HubSpot can help you put it in front of people. And it's not just your customers, it's your internal folks as well. So they can easily access it ergonomically and use it as a weapon.
Yeah. So I want to jump in here and then just for a quick second, I might flip back around after you, Chad, but I want to give you a chance to talk. But because Max, you brought up, and I'm going to put these together, and I don't mean any disrespect to customer agent, but let's say chat bots or
He's about
live
to be hella
chat
disrespectful
and customer agent, right? Like I'm going to put that in a bucket. The live chat bots or customer agent. I just want everybody to realize, like, if you look at the knowledge article about customer agent, which by the way now is a standalone or soon, today, tomorrow, I don't know, soon. By the time you're listening to this, dang on it, it'll be standalone. Let's just put it that way. But when you go to the article on customer agent, and you go to the best practices section, it says when working with customer agent, it's recommended that you use content sources that, And the number one on the list of 6 things contain common user queries, comprehensive information, and are regularly updated. For example, FAQs and knowledge base articles. If you go over to another one where it's like add content sources, it literally says click the sync HubSpot content drop down menu and select HubSpot content. You can sync knowledge base articles, website pages, landing pages, and blogs. So like, we're not even talking about how maybe historically this was a nice to have if you gave two shits about, if you gave two craps about your customer. Sorry to Apple.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Please, Apple, don't make us explicit because I'm not trying to.
I'm doing Morse code to get an apology.
Anyway, yeah. Help! If you gave two craps about your customer, like now it is a very foundational needed piece to get a pretty amazing AI assistant to actually work right. Okay, I'll shut up. Chad, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was gonna, I think, tap on what Max was talking about, which was the putting it in front of both your humans and, you know, the humans that use your tool or product. And that I don't know if people know necessarily, because they don't necessarily peruse the old API docs all the time. But there is a chat widget SDK, right? So a software development kit where you can, if you have a SaaS product, not just like put the widget like on your website, but actually get into the widget behavior events and like allow users to see all their open support threads with your business and start new threads. And that also allows the customer agent to serve up KBAs to them with natural language queries, just like asking ChatGPT, but trained on your stuff, right? And so like if you actually have a SaaS product and you're running your support through HubSpot, it will really let you serve your customers where they're at, which is in your product, right? Without them having to email or call or text or whatever, with your team. So very, I think, helpful if you're especially SaaS.
I love that in-product kind of help widgets that you're talking about. Here's another place I want you to think about, because you could have in automated email replies, like you could add additional value. For instance, if you're using HubSpot, you're listening to this podcast, you're using HubSpot. I'm just saying, you have something that is smart content. Imagine adding a hidden section that only people who are customers see based off of them being a list of customers that, did you know? And it having like 2 or 3 knowledge articles that might be related to the thing that they've actually gone into a funnel around or downloaded or whatever place it is. But think about automated emails and smart content to be able to deliver these knowledge articles in places. If you're doing any type of onboarding and you don't have links to your knowledge articles for people to get back, like I literally use HubSpot projects tool when I'm training new humans on HubSpot. And most of my projects and here's why, I can share it from my portal to other portals. And so most of my projects have like videos we've done, but also then a plethora of knowledge articles that I know exist, but I can curate for a training or onboarding flow the information that they might want to dig in or go deeper based off of the training that they just had. Okay, so like you have to think about where are all the places, where all are the interactions happening, and what knowledge-based articles make sense to show up in those spaces and times.
Well, there's 2 things I was thinking about while you were talking there, George. And I was really interested thinking, you know how we have the customer agent we have customer agent, obviously, but we also have like Breeze workflow actions, right? Yep. And one of those Breeze workflow actions, you could just like, I think possibly on a conversation started event, because you can like start conversation based workflows, possibly get the data from the first email that comes in, and try and like parse out what their inquiry is really about with that. But also the customer agent now can reply to emails, and I haven't messed with the configuration of it yet, but I'm wondering if there would be a helpful way for it to like have a special block that is specifically related to the knowledge base articles relevant to their inquiry if it can find any, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I mean, there's a couple things like maybe you could try and actually extract that information out, right? And try and give them dynamic responses based on what they're talking to you about.
I also think there's a good opportunity, just to be this nerd for a second. There's an opportunity to just directly link them in your marketing and sales enablement content, particularly if you're doing more bottom of the funnel stuff. You know, like if you're writing about what are your first 90 days like with our company?
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are the most common questions we get. You can then link to those articles to show this is how we support you throughout that process. I mean, whenever you think about any piece of content that you're creating, I mean, obviously, if it's more educational, top of the funnel, not really dealing with the product or service, like let's not go too crazy. We don't need a kitchen sink. But if you're really starting to think about ways in which you show early on and often how much support and care is a part of the product or service that you sell, the better off you're going to be. It tells that story earlier. It makes people feel safer and more secure earlier. They feel more confident in a potential purchase that they might be making with you. You know, I've worked at a company where we had knowledge base articles, and they would often be included when we were talking with prospects before they had signed on the dotted line. Like, this is actually a question we get a lot. And obviously, it's going to depend on your XYZ ABC circumstances, but these are some of the ways in which we can help you. So there are ways in which to organically include this content in the marketing and sales conversations you're having. You know, again, context matters, because if you're not striking it at that right balance of it is relevant, the intent matters, it's just going to look like you're giving a knowledge pile-on. But just think about the ways in which you could start telling that story earlier in a way that is relevant, intentional, and purposeful in the moment that you're talking. So I know we only have a few minutes left here, but I want to throw this out there. I know you guys have already started talking about some interesting ways and outside of the box ideas in terms of how knowledge-based content could be used. But have we seen any other creative or advanced ways teams are using knowledge-based to go beyond the basics?
I mean, the other thing to remember is that, like, back when knowledge base first came out, I think the biggest limiting factor was that you could only have one knowledge base, right? You couldn't have multiple ones. So like keep in mind, you can have multiple knowledge bases, right? So like whether that's like having different ones for different product lines that you have, or if it makes sense, right? If you're doing multi-brand stuff in HubSpot, it's kind of an obviously up there. But the other thing too is like you can put those knowledge bases on different domains, right? You can put them behind like SSO, right? You can use them for like internal company stuff. They don't have to be public facing, right? So, you know, I've seen some companies kind of like build their like company intranet off of like knowledge bases and just having, you know, all that stuff be gated membership content that can only be seen by folks who are on a list of contacts that have the internal company as their email address, right? So, you know, think outside of the box. It's a lot more flexible than it used to be. You know, and it doesn't have to just be for your customers. Like your employees to an extent need a knowledge base too as well, right? So just keep that in mind.
So there's a couple things I'll throw out here. Because again, I don't know how in the weeds with the Service Hub or knowledge base in general, people who might be listening, like you might just be one of those guys or gals that just has Marketing Hub or just has Sales Hub or just has Marketing and Sales Hub. And so I think when I get this question, Liz, from you, my brain goes to like, one, did you know that like there's a new knowledge base? And by the way, if you have the old knowledge base, you could go see if you can migrate to the new knowledge base, because you're going to be able to do some customization, because there's now customization tools in the knowledge base. Because that was like a big issue of like, you can't make it like super dope. Right.
It was like old HubSpot forms. Everyone looked the same about, right? Outside of a couple colors.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Here's the other thing too, is like you need to think about like private content. And again, kind of where Max was headed, or what Max was talking about, like a cousin, sister, brother of this is like the idea of private content. And like, so there can be like the SEO valued kind of what we've been overarchingly talking about if somebody can Google it. But like, imagine there could be a deeper level private content, knowledge based stuff happening as well. But here's the thing, if we don't talk about like how HubSpot can actually write knowledge articles for you now based on finding the gaps, like if you don't have that turned on or in your brain using that, I think that's a definite bonus that we could think about. Yeah, that's where my brain goes.
I once saw a team it was actually like the website widget inside of their SaaS product to tell page usage inside of because their SaaS product, even on the mobile app, was also just an embedded website essentially. So you embed a website in the native mobile app for like app stores and stuff. They were using that widget to track page usage, to almost do kind of like an amplitude or Pendo product usage sort of analytics, to be able to tell what help articles were going to be most relevant along with inquiries that they were getting. This was like years ago, before we had any, like chat widget SDK or other types of things that we would, now have in the HubSpot docs and in the HubSpot tools. But I think that was like a really interesting way that they were leveraging native HubSpot stuff to build up the correct, most high value content for their users by seeing what pages their people are on, and also they were able to track some error logging to it as well, like in some capacity, dropped some notes on the contact records. These were like error issues that we were able to see. So the support reps understood this person's had error logs recently, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Nice. When they go to their ticket, it's really helpful. This person has like 10 errors in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I love that. Before, because I know we're running out of time, I have to say one thing. We could have gotten through this entire episode, and we've used the word knowledge-based articles, which my worry is that people are stuck in a mindset of it's only textual information. Mm-hmm. So one other thing that I wish HubSpot did more of, and I hope you as a listener will do more of, is embedding rich media, video, interactive modules, GIFs. I just sparked something in Mac's brain. Hang on, give me a second, example. Max. I want to see more. Your boy needs you to show me. I think that's why I loved creating tutorials so much, is because that's my love language. Is just show me how to do the thing. I don't necessarily want to read if I can watch. And so make sure that you're kind of leaning into that. How do we create a media experience? By the way, I'm also leaning into this because in the future, I totally want to do an episode where we unpack the new video platform inside of HubSpot. I've mentioned that just in passing to a couple clients and also folks that I've been on calls with. And as soon as I say video platform in HubSpot, I get, ooh. So you have a video platform in HubSpot that you could be editing and then using these videos in your knowledge articles. Max, you sat up real quick when I said that.
I did a cool thing. We have this new feature in Event Happily that we've been kind of building out, and it involves a field that, without getting too much detail, you have to create this JSON string and put it into a field, and it does this really cool stuff, right?
Hashtag nerdy.
But no one likes to write JSON strings, including me, right? They're long and hard to write.
I kind of like
Chad does. Chad actually probably does like to write JSON strings.
Chad's super into it. So I went on ChatGPT, and I had ChatGPT build me a generator that would automatically generate these JSON strings based on selections I'd make in a form and some data that I would put into it. And then I took that and I told ChatGPT to give me the code in an embeddable format. And then I went onto the knowledge base where I wrote an article that explained this field. And then I embedded the tool to generate the JSON thing from ChatGPT right into the knowledge base article. So like literally it explains how the property works. And then it goes, you don't want to write JSON. We have a little tool for you. Boom. And it's like, dude, I'm not a coder, but I was able to like build that, which one, AI is sick. Yeah. I'm starting to understand it. I get it. Right. But yeah, you're converting. Chill out.
Oh my
God. But it's the point there is like you can embed content into knowledge based articles, right? Yeah. So like you're not just limited to text or video or pictures. There's other stuff that you can do there, and especially with tools like ChatGPT, right? The things that you can create and embed, they can be tools as well. Yeah, it doesn't have to just be what you might be used to being able to like slap onto a WYSIWYG editor website page, right?
Max,
so keep that in mind.
love you.
I love you too.
It's a whole new world. Max is
I bought a PS5, AI. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
George, you know what my favorite part about that thing was? You basically answered the question I always ask you at the end of every episode. What's one thing you want somebody to take away from this? And I think that was probably one of the most important things, you know, think about the different types of media. Think about the different ways to tell the story of helpfulness. Yeah. So you got to help all those humans out there.
At the end of the day, it comes down to this. Help the humans.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Hub Heroes, we've reached the end of another episode. Will Lord Lack continue to loom over the community, or will we be able to defeat him in the next episode of the Hub Heroes Podcast? Make sure you tune in and find out in the next episode. Make sure you head over to thehubheroes.com to get the latest episodes and become part of the League of Heroes. FYI, if you're part of the League of Heroes, you'll get the show notes right in your inbox, and they come with some hidden power-up potential as well. Make sure you share this podcast with a friend, leave a review if you like what you're listening to, and use the hashtag HubHeroes Podcast on any of the socials and let us know what strategy conversation you'd like to listen into next. Until next time, when we meet and combine our forces, remember to be a happy, helpful, humble human, and of course, always be looking for a way to be someone's hero.